Hello everyone, welcome to my chess channel Aditya Teaches Chess. So in this video I am going to teach you about opposition and key square. So this is a position we call it as direct opposition. Direct opposition is the situation occurring when two kings face each other on a rank or a file with only one square in between them. In such a situation, the player not having to move is said to have the opposition. Taking the opposition is means to an end, normally to force the opponent's king to move to a weaker position, and is not always the best thing to do. Since in this position, black to play, he has to give up opposition. Uh, King b8. So here in this position, both the kings are far away from each other. So we call it as this position as a distant opposition. Now white king move to b2, taking opposition. King to move b7. King to b3, white taking opposition. Now black taking opposition. King b6. Now king b4. White took opposition. Now black king has to give up opposition. If black king still maintains to keep opposition, something like in b7, now white king is going to play to b5. Now king b8, king to move b6. So here white king took opposition. Now black king has to give opposition. And next we are going to learn about the diagonal opposition. So here white king b2, black king to g7, king c3, king f6. So king d4. White took opposition. Now black has to give up opposition. King to move g7. King to move e5. King to move h8. Now king to move f6. Now white took opposition. Now black has to give up opposition. If you move something like king g8, now king g6. Here white took opposition, and again black king has to give up opposition. In the end game of king and pawn versus king, it is useful to talk about the concept of key square. Even if you are familiar with this, I urge you to watch this video on in any case to refresh your memory, as these concepts will be important later. A key square is a square on which, if the stronger side's king stands, the pawn achieves a supported promotion by force. A pawn anywhere on the board, excluding a rook's pawn, as either 3 or 6 key square, depending on the pawn's location. A pawn that is in its own half of the board has 3 key squares. So here the d3 pawn is in within the half of the board. So a white pawn on d3 is in its own half of the board. So we know it has 3 key squares. These squares are located as shown in the board. 2 ranks ahead of the pawn on its own file and the 2 adjacent files. Similarly, the black pawn on d6 is in its own half of the board and has a 3 key squares. These squares are c4, d4, and e4. Key squares of the black f3 pawn would be e2, f2, g2, e1, f1, and g1. With the pawn so well advanced, it becomes more intuitive and easier to visualize that occupation of these squares would ensure a supported promotion. A rook's pawn, as you might expect, is much harder to promote, so has a fewer key squares, and they are correspondingly harder to reach, usually impossible if the defender's king is reasonably placed. The squares for a rook pawn are fixed and don't depend on how far it is advanced. Key squares of a rook pawn, a white a pawn has a key squares b7 and b8. For a black h pawn has a key square g2 and g1. So in this position, don't push the pawn unnecessarily. Our idea is to reach key square. So in this position, if white king reaches key square, he will win. If black king reaches first, then it's a draw. King e4, king f7, king d5, king e7. Now finally, white king reaches key square. For this pawn, the key squares are c6, d6, and e6. So if white king reaches any one of these key square, then he is going to win. King d8, king d6. Now white took opposition. Black has to give up opposition. King c8. Now king e7. Pawn promotion is very easy. So here in this position, black to play. Black king play f7. Black king want to reach key square. King e4, king e6. Finally, black king reaches the key square. King to move d3, king d5, blocking the passed pawn. King e3, king e6, black taking opposition. King e4, white taking opposition. King d6, now d5. So advancing a pawn by keeping the white king behind doesn't give victory. King e7, king e5, taking opposition. King d7, d6, king to move d8. So here the only move for the black king to make a draw is the king to move d8. Other than king d8, black cannot hold draw. King e6, king e8, d7 check, king d8. Now king d6 stalemate. So if black king played something like the king e8, then now white king is going to take opposition. King e6, king d8. Now simply pawn push. Now black king has to give up opposition. He cannot take opposition here. He cannot play king c8. Now if he play king c7, then white king is going to play king e7. Then pawn promotion is very easy. Uh, if the black king plays to c8, then white king a6. Now king to move d8. Now d7. Now black king give up opposition. Here king c7. Now king e7. So here the only move in this position is king d8. Please remember, king d8 is the only move which makes black draw. If king to move a6, so now black has an opportunity to take opposition. d7 check, king d8. Now king d6 stalemate. So here in this position, black to play king d8, king d6, white king taking opposition and also is taking key square. Now black king to move, so he has to give up opposition. King e8. Now king c7, king e7. Now d5. So already d8, d7, and d6 are in white control. Now it's very easy to promote d5 pawn, and he can easily make a queen. If black king plays c7, then white king plays e6. So here white king is reaching key square. So first is reaching key square. Now king to move da. Now king to d6. White king took opposition. Now black king has to give up opposition. If black king plays e7, now white king reaches c6 key square. King e8. Now king d6. If black king take opposition, now a simple idea is to push the pawn d5. Now black king has to give up opposition. Very easy victory for white. The same position white to play. So here white king cannot uh, possible to reach key square. Suppose if you are playing from the black side, you have to take control over this key square. So king e5, king e7, taking opposition. King played to move d5 with the idea of to reach the key square c6. That's why white king played the move d5. Now king d7. So white controlling a key square. Now king c5. So here king c7. So if black makes one more mistake, then white is going to win. If you make if black king plays to e6, then white king is going to reach key square. So this is a mistake. So black king has to control this key square. That is a very important idea. If Now if black king plays to e7, now pawn push. King to move d8. Now white king is going to take opposition. Now black king has to give up opposition. So this is a victory for white king. So so don't allow white king to reach key square. So suppose if you are playing from a black side, try to control over this key square. King c4, take opposition. If you push the pawn, king d7, uh, d6. Now the only move in this position which makes draw for black is king d8. So other than king d8 gives victory for white. King d8, now king c6, now king c8. King c8 taking opposition, d7 check, king d8, now king d6. Suppose if in this position black king plays to c8, now white king is going to take opposition. D8, now D7. So all these squares are controlled by the white. So now black king cannot take opposition. Now king E7, king C7, and white is going to win. King D8. The important idea is, and the next move, black king wants to take opposition. That's the idea. So king D8, king C6 is going to take opposition. So if he played the move king c8, now black king has to give up opposition. So that's why king d8 is the right move. Sometimes diagonal opposition is used to achieve direct opposition. An example in this position, black to move king f8, king d6, king e8, King e6 taking opposition. Now white king as opposition. Black king has to give up opposition. King f8. Now king d7. Black king cannot achieve opposition. So white king taking advantage of that. So king g8. Now king e7. King to move h8. Now f6. So don't make move king f8 and king f7. Uh, since there is no move for a black, it's stalemate. Stalemate and king f7 stalemate. So f6, g captures f6. So here I want to push the pawn, but I need king support. So I will bring king to move f7. This is very easy. Don't capture the pawn. So king f7 gives it's a good move. King f7 is a good move instead of capturing the pawn. King f7 is a good move because as a in a two moves where white is going to make a queen. So this position tells about advantage of diagonal opposition. So this position is example for distant opposition. King e2 taking opposition. King e7. King e3. King e6. King e4. So here white took opposition. Now black king has to give up opposition. King d6. Now king d4. White king taking opposition. King c6. Now white king is going to play king e5. So white idea is to capture this pawn and wants to promote the h4 pawn. So here, so in this position, I play the move king e5. So this is the right time to play king e5. To capture this pawn, suppose if the white king goes to f5, then it's a mistake because now black king uh, also try to capture this pawn and also a black pawn uh, promote to a queen. The same position, black to play, try to find the right idea for black king to make victory. So if you have a board, keep this position and practice in home and find a winning idea for black. The same idea as I shown from the white side. So in this position, white king has to reach key squares for this pawn. If you play king c2, now king e7, king c3 is a mistake. King d6, now king c4, black king played move c6. So black king reached uh, key square for the b4 pawn. So now this position is draw. So for in order to win the game, so we should come in another direction to reach this key square. So this is not the right idea to win the game. So we have another idea to bring our king in this direction. King c2, king e7, king d3, king d6, king a4, now king c6. So king c6, anyhow, black king reached the key square. It doesn't mean this position is draw. Now king a5. Uh, now I'm going to take opposition. King to move b7. Now king b5. So here white took opposition. Black king has to give opposition. King to move b8. Now again take opposition. King b6. King a8. b5. King b8. Now king a6. King a8. b6. Now king b8. Now b7. King c7. King a7. Uh, so in this position, completely winning for white. So in this position tell us to reach a key square, one has to find the right way to reach a key square. So as I said you before, if you reach key square like in this direction, then black king reaches key square, and even though he can take opposition, still black can hold opposition. Uh, Still he can hold draw. But if white king reaches in another direction, is going to win. Thanks for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed this session. If you want, uh, if you want to learn anything from my side, then please let me know to the comment section. Um, thanks for watching. Bye bye.